Hey guys, Grumpy here with another episode of Zero to Hero. So, Dale Nolan's story is coming to an end. The final challenge that he had of four is to fight the threat. So, we're outside of the Perseus gravity well here. We're going to jump in and fight a couple of third strike fleets. So, we're going to do some doubles as well as some triples. I'm going to go over the fleet really quickly, and then after we conclude this episode, I'll talk about what's going to go on in the finale. So, going over the fleet, these are the ships I'm choosing to bring to the fight. So, we have the Ziggurat. Um, Same build as always. Tachyon Lance, Rift Cascade Emitter, very effective. Maximizing the range on it using advanced optics, integrated target unit, and then ECCM package built in to negate that range reduction. And then featuring the Typhon Reapers, antimatter SRMs, and neutrons. Very strong, very potent build. Then I have my onslaughts. They're built the exact same way all the onslaughts are. So Storm Needler for cracking shields, and then Devastators to follow that up. And then the Typhon Reapers here are really good. The AI is pretty effective at using these. They will usually reserve Reapers for when the target is near overloading or has overloaded, and then they'll fire it off. They don't usually just send them for no reason. It is very hull mod heavy because I've skimped on its flux, its weapon systems, right, to keep its flux down. So that opened up a lot of space for hull mods. So I guess the main focus are using the shrouded hull mods. These are hull mods that we've gathered fighting in the abyss, namely the shrouded lens and shrouded thunderhead. They work as sort of like AoE and like point defense, as well as some pretty decent DPS. So throwing them on the ship, I've chose to go with this route instead of weapons, just because when you fight the threat, there's just a lot of mess. Is the best way I can describe it. There's just a bunch of mess on the screen. So having some point defense that works even when you're venting or when your ship is turned around, it just makes sense. So these have been really effective in those fights. And then these are the rest of the hull mods, as you can see here. Really just looking to maximize hull and toughen up that armor. Then we have the old salt here, built very similar. I was able to get some neoferric quad coils. Really good high explosive weapon. I haven't played with these too much. I want to put them on more of my ships. They're really solid. One build that I want to try is for these on an Invictus, because I feel like I can feel it in my bones. I know that that's going to do some serious damage. But anyway, here's the build. I tried to build it as similar as possible to the onslaughts. So this is what I came up with. Really maximizing the hull to take advantage of those van braces on the side. Some decent armor. And then really light on the weapons too. The the They're low tech ships, so they really have a tough time dealing with like flux dissipation. So I'm trying not to push them too hard. One of the issues that I've been running into is that these ships will tend to overload themselves, which it defeats the purpose of bringing the capital because the capital can defend its specific area on the battlefield. Then we have the Pegasus and the Champions. I'll talk about them together because they're kind of serving the same role. They feature four Locust Swarmers, and then the Champion just features a single, obviously. Their role is cleanup. So as you wind down the fight, there's going to be a bunch of like hives. There's going to be overseers, skirmishers, like a bunch of scattered things all over the battlefield. That your capital ships, like your onslaughts, are going to have a tough time dealing with, just because everything that's left is going to be like small and fast. So that's where the Pegasus and the Champions come in. These locust swarms, absolutely devastating to those smaller ships, and basically these Pegasus just absolutely nullify any of the hive. The hive are They work sort of like carriers. They fire missiles, but their missiles act like carrier or their missiles act like fighters, so I consider them carriers. Um, anyway, the way that the hive work is they just spam out. They have like swarmer launchers, right? So they spam out a bunch of debris that hurtles towards your ships, and they typically do a lot of damage. So the locusts intercept those and then blow up their missiles, and then it protects the rest of your ships. They also feature some IR auto lances. The ion beams, I think I should replace them with IR auto lances, but they're here just to provide some supplemental EMP damage. That is their role. It's really just more so cleanup. Here are the whole mods on the side. Next up, we have the champ. Well, we already talked about the champions. The only thing that's different is they have Paladin PD and they have integrated point defense AI. No changes to the Aurora. This is pretty standard build. This is my safety overrides build. It is a escape hatch in case things go terribly sideways. I can jump in the Aurora and still contribute to the battle. Then I have a couple of scarabs. I'm running low on scarabs. I had ordered more, but I didn't pick them up in time. Pretty simple build. They're just here to contest the points early on into the fight, and we'll talk about it when we actually get into the fight. But objective control is really important in threat fights, is what I realized. And then we have our bread and butter, that being the LP brawlers. I brought a bunch of them because through these fights you tend to lose a lot of frigates. We'll be able to do a couple of fights back to back without having to go home and replace them. Then I have a single monitor that's just left over from a previous fight where I had 3 or 4 monitors, and then we just lost them. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in here, and let's begin. All right, let's see what we got. So I have, if you've been following some of the in-betweens of Zero to Hero, I've been doing a couple of these fights. I don't think this is third strike, but we can fight it anyways. Nice warm up. I've been doing a couple of fights against the threat. Well, in the background, I've been doing one. I posted one to the... Yeah, this is a second strike. I posted one to the channel, so you can watch that if you would like. Fighting the threat, I'll just briefly summarize my thoughts that I had in that video. The threat almost feels like a modded faction in vanilla Starsector. They are miles above in difficulty compared to the rest of the challenges in the game, which is good, right? You should have something that you can strive for in order to really push really test the limits of your fleet, right? So I'm glad something like that exists. That said, man, it has been quite a journey to come up with an effective fleet to deal with these guys. Let's pull this back and let's put out another onslaught. So, like I mentioned before, objective contesting, very important. It is super important. It's important in most fights that you hold objectives, but it's very important that you hold the objectives in these fights. The reason being is you need to deny the threat you need to limit how many deployment points they have at all times. You start with the deployment point advantage at 240, but if you don't maintain it throughout the entire fight, then what'll happen is the enemy fabricators will be able to produce ships, which will quickly overwhelm your fleet. And for a very long time, I didn't realize that's how the fight goes. So what ended up happening to me is I would end up getting swarmed and then be unable to meet the threat and drive towards the fabricators. But now that I understand that you need to control these objectives, I've brought a lot more frigates than I normally would bring to the fight. So I can briefly summarize these ships since we're in the fight, and we'll see more as we push towards the back. But these small ships, they are the frigates, they're skirmishers. If I press F2, I can go to ships and look at threat. So they're their skirmish unit. So pretty tough ship. They have the phase skimmer ability, so they skip just like wolves. When they are overloaded, what do they do? Teleports the ship. Oh, I guess they only teleport when they are hit, or they only gain charges when they're hit by the energy lash. Next to the skirmishers, which you'll see when I unpause, is the overseer. The overseer, it basically drives all the other ships. Each ship has a corresponding energy lash ability, and when this reaches out and it lashes a ship, then it activates that ability. You need to deal with the overlashers. They're very high priority, but they're not the highest on the battlefield, but they are pretty important. So whenever possible, we would like to remove overseers. They also have the annoying ability to pull you out of base space. So you really need to stay on that. All right, next up you have these line ships. So again, if we press F2, the line ships are tank units. They have a ton of hull. They have okay shields, but they also have a lot of armor. It'll take several rounds of like Reapers in order to get these off the battlefield. And then their lash ability is Extraction Protocol. So when they get zapped, they pull back. They pull back from your units at a pretty fast rate, faster than I think they get a movement boost. But anyway, they back away from your ships. So in addition to being really tough to destroy these ships, they are also very evasive. So it makes a pretty significant threat because if you look up here, they are loaded with high kinetic damage as well, or really potent kinetic damage, and then really strong high explosive damage in the form of those quad coils that we looked at very early on. So a very intimidating ship. The best way to deal with them is to kind of almost ignore them if you can, and deal with the overseers that are nearby. Some trash in the way. See, like, I have target analysis, and all these other damage boosts, and those Reapers barely put a dent in it. Alright, here, next up is the assault unit. We can talk through this. The assault unit is exactly like it sounds. It is a unit that is all about dealing as much damage as possible, as quickly as possible. They feature the Void Blaster, which is a very devastating high explosive weapon. It has perfect accuracy. In fact, it doesn't even fire a projectile as far as I can tell. It just hits your ship. So it's pretty much impossible to dodge once they have a lock on you. Their energy lash ability is incursion mode. So when they are hit by an energy lash, they become hyper aggressive. They get in your ship's face and they get essentially accelerated ammo feed. That ability, so they deal a lot of damage very quickly. Uh, you need to be aware of assaults. If there are assaults near like your capitals, especially on their flanks, you need to divert some kind of attention in order to deal with that, because a assault ship that's left loose on your ship's flanks will destroy your capital ship. These things are monsters. It doesn't take much to score a kill with these guys, so you really need to be aware of what they're doing. The good news is they aren't so tough. So like your ships can deal with them. Looks like we have an opportunity here. Oh, one thing that's very important in this fight is you need some kind of EMP damage reduction, be it resistance flux conduits, even automated repair unit works well, especially if it's built in. I think impact mitigation allows you to fire when your weapons are damaged, or reduces the time, something like that. But you need some way to get your weapons back online very quickly, because there is a ton of EMP damage in these fights, and if you're not firing at the threat, then the threat is firing at you. So you need to be aware of that. Take some time to dump flux while I'm in between my onslaughts here. So I have I go back and forth in my mind on whether or not the ziggurat belongs in this fight. The threat is really good at countering the ziggurat. These overseers constantly pop you out of phase space, which is really bad, obviously, because the ziggurat gets all of its, or most of its, strength from being in phase space, which allows you to charge up your tachyon lance faster and distribute it faster. If you are out of phase space, then obviously it takes a lot longer for you to deal that next successive charge. Alright. Next up, we have the Hive unit. So this is the unit that I was talking about earlier. They function like carriers essentially, because the really cool thing about the threat is their missiles. They have so many different types of missiles. They're referred to as fragments, and they have different types of fragments that do different kinds of damage. And because they have so many different types of fragments, it's so hard to defend against them. You're getting bombarded constantly in between the weapons that the threat fires at you. There's just a barrage of fragments always flying around all of your ships all the time. So the Hive unit, you really need strong point defense, and it's because of them. This is where the bulk of the missiles, the fragments are going to come from. So they feature 2 swarm launchers. This shoots out a clump of fragments, basically. I think it takes 50 fragments or so. But what it does is it creates a nice bubble of point defense. It also lunges forwards and it deals damage to your ships. I'm not sure what kind of damage it is. I think it's energy. It might be high explosive, but it definitely hurts when the swarm that the swarm launcher launches reaches your ships. So if possible, you want to avoid that, but it's kind of nebulous, so it's hard to tell what it is and when it's attacking you. But if you have strong point defense, then you should be just fine. Then they have unstable fragments, kinetic fragments, and secret fragments. I believe unstable and seek. No, yeah, I believe unstable and seek are high explosive, and then kinetic's obviously kinetic. Um, so they will periodically get launched from the hive. Um, I'd say the hive is pretty high priority. It's not the highest thing. It's below. Well, if you have really strong point defense, then it's below probably overseers. You can just let them, you know, you can let them pepper your ships from a faraway distance, and then you'll deal with them after the fight. But if you have really weak, if you have really soft point defense, then I'd say they're above. Um, I'd say they're deal with your assaults first, and then they're very close second. You want to rush to get to these hives. You don't want to let them pile up in the back of the battlefield. All right. All right. Let's grab our units here. Set this for a rally command. Put them on that. Alright. I can briefly talk about this because we're going to get to the Fabricator in just a little bit. The Fabricator produces these threat ships. In this fight, we started going against threat ships. Like they were native to the battlefield. But then also there's a Fabricator in the background creating new ships that you have to destroy. When you destroy a Fabricator ship, it produces these fragments. You can shoot these fragments down. It's hard to do manually, but if you have something like the IR Auto Lance or the Devastator cannons especially, you can destroy these swarms, these fragments. And what it'll do is it'll lower the combat readiness of the Fabricator, eventually getting it to the point where it can no longer spawn ships. Now, it isn't high priority. If you can shoot these, then go for it. But if you let them escape and go back to the Fabricator, it's not the end of the world. There are other priorities that you need to focus on when you do the fights. I had mentioned the Swarmer launchers before. These are the swarms that I was talking about. Actually, I wonder if I could. Yes, I can. Attack swarm. So very fast, high top speed, faster than any frigate in the game. Hull integrity of 2000, so they have no armor, they have no shield. And then within them, they have a kinetic, a seeker, an unstable, and a voltaic discharge. Wow. That's... Oh, you can see what they are. Okay. Yep. Kinetic. Seeker is high explosive. Oh, unstable is fragmentation. Okay. And voltaic discharge. So, that's what that carries. In each one of these swarms, and each hive gets 2 swarm launchers. So between these, there are 6 of those, which means there's 6 of those seeker, kinetic, voltaic discharges, and unstables, just in that one little clump. Very daunting. Alright, I'm gonna go for this ship. Actually, I'm gonna try to shoot some of this debris. Now, one thing I wish there was, it's gonna get away. One thing I wish there was in this game was, or in this fight rather, was a way to tell which one were Fabricator created threat, and which one was native to the map. After a certain point, it really doesn't matter anymore. But it would be good because you would know which ships to focus on. and which ships you can kind of ignore. All right, I believe we control all 4 now. Yep. So we can change this to just a regular control. And I still want you guys on that. Okay. These don't have weapons on them. But they do have 2,000 hull just like the other ones do. You know what? I have confidence in you. I'm guessing the Fabricator is over here. It's really far away. There we go. And last but not least, it's a little too far away. We'll lock onto it in a second. And last but not least, we have the Fabricator. So this is the big daddy of the threat fleet. This is what makes the fight so difficult. The Fabricator produces all the threat ships that you see. It does it by expending a little bit of combat readiness to produce these ships. Now, it does, and this is what I didn't know, it does respect the deployment point cap that's available to it, so it can't just produce an infinite amount of ships besides the CR limitation. So if you control all 4 objectives and you're able to successfully contest those objectives and keep them off of it, then you really restrict them to a small fleet, which makes dealing with the Fabricator a lot easier. You'll see this later on when we go, this is skipping ahead, but you'll see it later on when we go on to fight a triple Fabricator fleet. Because these guys take up so much deployment points, they actually end up crowding each other out. So triple Fabricators, if you want to farm these third strike fleets, triple Fabricators are honestly easier to fight than double Fabricators. Because if you do things correctly, they don't have enough deployment points to summon all the ships that they want. You need one more thing. You need to be very careful near the Fabricator. They are not weak ships whatsoever. They have a lot of point defense, and they also deal a lot of damage. I'm gonna give the eliminate command. No, I don't need you guys on that. I need you guys like. There we go. I need you guys to focus on maintaining these objectives. The Fabricator is not a weak ship whatsoever. You need to be very careful while you're in proximity of it because it has a lot of kinetic damage, especially but also because it has so many fragments to it as well, it can deal it can deal a lot of damage to your ships. So even though I guess it technically serves almost like a carrier role, do not think of it as a carrier. It is not a pushover ship. It's not an astral by any means. Something that you can see here is you can see the Fabricator actually manufacturing new ships. These are these bubbles. If you can, destroy them before they're manufactured. But if not, then just focus on the Fabricator. I'll try to get one of these, and then let's go ahead and deal with you. If at all possible, what I like to do is if you have access to neutron torpedoes, which you should, if you've been farming some of the threat ships like the first strike and second strike fleets, you should get access to neutron torpedoes. So if I press the 4 key here, neutron torpedoes deal 2100 damage or 2500 damage. Neutron torpedoes. Yeah, they deal 2,500 kinetic damage. I mean, and also obviously 1,250 damage if it hits the armor, which is still significant. So what you should do to make them effective is if you compare them with any other missile that's pretty fast. So I like to pair them with the antimatter SRM launchers. That's on 3. If you can fire them in tandem and time them so they both reach the target at the same time, then the AI has to decide between putting its shields up and overloading from the neutron torpedoes because they're going to deal a ton of damage, or taking that damage to ideally the hull, since you've probably dealt some damage to its front armor already, in which case it's taking 2,500 damage to the hull per neutron torpedo. But even if it splashes against the armor, it's still a pretty big hit. So that's the best way, I think, to use neutron torpedoes. Pair them with a different kind of missile so that they all line up at the same time. Adios, Fabricator. And I think at this point we can just full assault. Let our onslaughts go wild. I'm gonna get out of here. Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna help out with this line of ship. I think monitors do really well in these fights as distractions. I'm not sure. I brought monitors into a different fight. I don't have the monitor blueprint, otherwise I would use them more often to test with them. But I brought monitors into the previous fight, and they did a really good job of tying up their ships. I guess it's because of their fortress ability and the fact that the threat relies so heavily on missiles, like the fragments, that they don't really end up dealing like constant damage. They do chip damage, which the monitor is really good at preventing. couple line ships. So we lose a couple of frigates in the fight, but our onslaughts prove quite successful. Just gonna scoot right by you. Yeah, pretty good first fight. This was a second strike though. The fights get much harder than this. But this is a good warm up. I just think the onslaughts look so cool with their shrouded effects. Also, yeah, I've been in the simulator practicing with my Typhoon Reapers. Yeah. I laugh at, and if it'll keep happening, but I do laugh at all the comments about the misfires with the Reapers. They're hard to aim. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I think it's because the Reapers are pretty slow. So what ends up happening are just ships end up dodging out of the way. You really need to lead your shots. Here's all the hives. Not a word. Not a word. Nice. Alright. So again, these fights do get much harder than that, and this fight was already very difficult. I full transparency. I and Dale Nolan are still very afraid of these threat fleets. Again, like I talked about the very onset of the episode, the threat is nothing to joke about. It is seriously some of the hardest content in the game. As far as the rewards go, you get rewards based on what was native to the battlefield. You don't get rewards. You don't get rewards for anything that the Fabricator creates. So these are our rewards. We get some fragment fabricators as well as start processing units, and then all of their weapons. Of their weapons, I guess I can talk about them really quickly. The Void Blaster was what I was talking about before. It's a charge-based weapon, perfect accuracy. It says medium here, but that's not true. Basically, wherever you aim, it hits. It's not a I don't know why it says medium accuracy. It's perfect accuracy. The catch is though, it deals soft flux to shields instead of hard flux. That's the only way you could balance it, because once it locks onto your ship, it chunks. Like, it does a ton of high explosive damage very quickly. You can burst down a cruiser with, you know, 2 void blasters and after you overload it. It's very dangerous. Then you have the mass drivers. I really like their mass drivers. They're very flux efficient. So, you know, me, I'm looking for flux efficient weapons whenever I fire them. There's heavy mass drivers, and then there's light mass drivers, the smaller variant, both of which do really good kinetic damage, have a really good flux for damage. Really nice weapon to swap out your railguns with. These are a better option. They are very ordnance points hungry, but for that you get a more effective weapon. Then you have the swarm launchers. So this is what was featured on the hives. It consumes some of your fragments in order to produce those swarms. Um, I'm experimenting right now with a Griffin build that goes all in on fragments and swarm launchers. We'll see. I might make a ship showcase on it. But I'm still just personally experimenting with that. Then you have the types of fragments, so Seeker and Kinetic. Um, I don't know exactly what distinguishes them. You can read through their stats to get a better feel for them, but basically just look at the damage type, and that's how you should configure your ships around them. So Kinetic, high explosive, fragmentation, and then high explosive. Then they have their point defense, so that being the voltaic cannon. No, sorry. Voltaic discharge. So this is its point defense. Basically shoots out small fragments around which launch EMP arcs, it says here. And no, sorry. Fires a barrage of EMP arcs at nearby targets. I might be thinking of a different weapon type, but I thought this one shoots out a little burst, and then everything that it crosses path with, it arcs out and destroys that item. I might be thinking of something else. I might be thinking of the shrouded point defense. Anyway, there's that, and then the voltaic cannon shoots a slow shot, has very low charges, that just deals a lot of EMP damage. So those are the weapons. Let's confirm and continue. Let's take a peek at how many fire frigates we have left. I think we have enough frigates for another fight. So let's go ahead and heal up. Just make sure we stay away from everything. As we repair ships. Fleet is ready. Just a little bit more combat readiness left on myself, but then we can pick up another fight. I think there was another fleet down. Yeah, there's a couple of fleets down here. Dual Fab might be a third strike. I think we're close enough on CR that we can take this. And I can't see what that one is. It's second strike. This way, this episode is just gonna go on long. I'm gonna spend a story point and disengage because I really just want to show you guys the third strike fleet. It's not that that fight was gonna be too difficult for us. Oh, that's gonna sap all of our CR. Alright. Let's head home and then repair. It's not... Oh, yikes. It's not that that fight was too hard for us. It's just, again, I want to show you guys a third strike fight. But yeah, this episode is going to go on long. But I hope it's entertaining. And as we head back to repair, outsider the Spectre. I hope you guys have enjoyed the series so far. It's been a ton of fun. I do apologize for like the the nearly, I think it was almost like a year long hiatus kind of in the middle there. Sorry about that. I think I talked about it in an in between, but basically, life had happened, so I got really busy, and then couldn't really dedicate time to the channel. I tried to release like small content, and recently I got inspired by a lot of things that I saw on Reddit. So I've been trying to answer mostly Starsector related things that I see on Reddit, but also like if you've seen some of the other Reddit responses, just other things in general. So eventually, once I found the time, which thankfully I did, I was able to come back to you guys. I don't think this is the same system. Maybe it is. No, it's not the same system because this wasn't here before. I don't think there's anything in here. Nope. Right, let's go. Nope. Dale Nolan knows a thing or two about the Shrouded. You're not gonna get me with that. Right, let's go jump in here. Okay, quite a few. That's gonna be a first strike. No, that's gonna be a second. Alright, this is a third strike. So this is one of the two third strikes that you can run into. This is gonna be a triple Fabricator fight. Again, like I talked about, I believe of the two, this is the easier one to manage. So as long as you hold on to your objectives, it really limits the amount of ships that the fabricators can produce. So that is going to be your key to success. Just holding those objectives and then rushing the fabricators. So let's see if we can implement that. We're moving to engage. I remain in the ziggurat. Believe that that is fine. And we really want a lot of frigates on the battlefield. I'm gonna bring in the AI onslaught. That's why it might as well. Ooh, we got a very favorable. We got a very favorable battlefield. No, speaking of battlefields, in the next patch, Alex is going to make threat fights so much harder. Well, technically it's going to be well, no, not even technically. First of all, he's going to stretch the map out to make it taller when you fight threat, which nightmarish. It basically just gives the fabricators more time to produce ships before you can get to them. So that's going to be quite a challenge to deal with, tall maps. And then the second thing that he's doing, which sounds like a nerf, right? You'll no longer be able to. The threat will no longer be able to produce 3 triple fabricator fleets. It'll be reduced to 2 fabricator fleets. But like we talked about, 2 fabricator fights are going to be harder than triple fabricator fights because they're going to have more deployment points to play with, so they can create more ships. So yeah, we're going to have to deal with that in the next patch. which is why Dale Nolan is rushing to his victory in order to complete his journey because he senses changes on the horizon. Okay. As far as, I guess we might as well talk about it now, or we could wait until the finale. But I wanted to talk about it now. I have a couple of ideas that I want to do for the next series on this channel. I no, I'll save the big thing that I want to talk about. But as far as small things go, I was thinking about doing like a one shot as play as the Luddic Path. I've done. Ooh, rip. You probably get hit by assault. Yeah, that's the Void Blaster. So you won't see projectiles, but you'll see your ship start to take a lot of damage. I've done a playthrough as the high tech via Athena Triton for my colonization guide. I've done sorry, I gotta get rid of this. I've done low tech as Bruce Benson in the advanced. Oh no, you don't. In the advanced combat guide, and I've done midline as Titan Grants in the fleet composition guide. So there's not very many factions left to do. So I was thinking about doing Luddic Path. The reason being is it would be a nice return to the channel. One of the first few videos on the channel, and I think it was the first video I posted about Starsector content, was the was in the LP Brawler. I think that's how I introduced my channel actually. So it would be nice to return to that after we complete this long journey as Dale Nolan. Another thing that I would be interested in is remaking some of the guides. So right now the bit of a waste there, but gets it done. So the colony guides are good. I like where they're at, but there's still information that can probably be updated in them. Namely when it comes to Colony Crisis. I've learned things in between releasing that guide and just playing around. So maybe remaking individual episodes, not the whole guide. But I really want to remake the fleet composition guide, because when I made it, either Threat and Shrouded didn't exist yet. I need you guys to get on this. We need to make this unlimited order. I need to put you guys on it. Actually, scratch that, y'all. Oh, that's the wrong one. I gotta lock in real quick. Yep. So there's a ton of momentum in this fight, in that if you can quickly reach another, if you can clear one fabricator, you're really on a clock in order to clear the other ones out. Because um, if you let them loose, then what they'll do is they'll just start pumping out ships, and you'll never be able to reach them. So I'm gonna clear a path for my onslaughts and just let them dogpile that. Let's focus on this one first. Go ahead, don't flux here for a second. I'm really not helping my onslaughts here by being in the way, so I'm just gonna scoot to the side and see if we can't get this fabricator down. It's worth it to be this aggressive to get this fabricator off the battlefield. Absolutely worth the hull and taking that assault to the side of us. See, like, this is the madness that a single fabricator can produce. Now we're getting like surrounded by all these ships. So that's just something to be aware of. But we still hold these you can make this a control. We still do hold all these objectives, so good for us. I think you guys are fine. I think you guys are fine. Let's focus on one of these hives. Okay. Very dangerous. With a little bit of space, I'm actually gonna wait until we lose another ship and see if I can't bring in the first champion. The champion performs exceptionally well in this fight because, like I said, it's all about. These are gonna hurt. I don't know if I can dodge them. Barely. Woo! Alright. 464 hull left. Alright. Let's bring in a champion. I'm going to continue to protect the flanks as best I can as our ships move in to get rid of the Fabricator. Watch your needler. I see you. I think I'm outside of Void Blaster range. I think Void Blasters have a really low range. Alright, no. Nice. Alright, and then you guys got it. We'll just hit full assault. Actually, here's an interesting problem. Well, I'll do my best to protect my ships, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna start losing stuff. Yep. That's okay. So like I talked about, the rest of this fight is going to be cleanup, so let's go ahead and bring in our Pegasus. And whatever ships we lose, the Pegasus will help guide us to victory. So as you can tell, obviously a much more difficult fight. Just way more threats on the battlefield. That huge push to go from the second Fabricator down to the last one. It's crazy because any little Seeker fragment could destroy me. Guys, there's more important things going on. I was thinking, man, it's taking a long time for my Pegasus to show up. Now, I have to be careful because they can pull me out of phase. It's not the end of the world if we lose our ship. Or not lose our ship, if the Ziggurat gets pulled out. Because it has phase anchor, so it won't ever be lost. I don't want to say it won't ever be lost. But instead of it being destroyed, it'll just evacuate because there's no other phase ship with phase anchor on the map. There can be some fights though in the core worlds where you can lose your Ziggurat. Very unlikely if it's piloted or has S mods. Actually, I think near enough impossible. Oh, I'm dead. Woo. Thank goodness the quad coils have a slow projectile speed. Alright. And there are the swarmers to take care of all the fragments and such. And deal their damage. Good job, everybody. So that was a triple Fabricator fight. We have one more fight in us, and that will be the... Thank you very much. We can put back some of these. And that will be the... dual Fabricator fight. But in order to do that, first we need to go back home. Ooh, that was close. And we need to pick up more frigates. Man, it is so nice being in the end game where you can lose like half your fleet in frigates and it doesn't even affect you. You can get a bunch of demods and then clean them off. Alright, Buster. Little bonus content. You know it? And you're getting the old salt. Yeah, it's really nice in the end game. What I was gonna say in the middle of the last threat fight before I had to fight the Fabricators was remaking the guides and also like future content. So the colony guides I'm happy with, but I would want to remake the fleet composition guides because I've learned a lot since then, since I made those. And again, I don't think the Shrouded and Threat existed, or I just couldn't. I don't think they existed, but I think at the time, even if they did, I don't think I had a good grasp of what would have made a good fleet to fight those fights. Oh, oops, sorry, that should be on autopilot. And then the combat guides, I think I can tighten those up Right now, let's help you out here. Right now, they're pretty long. And I definitely think I can. I definitely think I can make them a lot shorter, more heavily edited, and then also take out the shipbuilding aspect of it because the focus is supposed to be combat. Since it was my advanced, since it was my first advanced guide, I didn't really know how I wanted to tailor it. It it was combat focused, but it was also like some shipbuilding, and it was also what is left? Oh, it's a single atlas. Yeah, it was also some shipbuilding. I think colonization was in there as well, so it was just really unfocused. And I'm pretty sure we can do better than that. Oh, that was sick. So those will probably come to the channel. Those will come to the channel at some point when I get time to reshoot those. Thank you for your contribution. Alright. And then let's grab a fresh batch of frigates and we can head back out. Let's repair our ships as such. I don't know why you can't repair the automated ships. Maybe they would be too powerful if they were clean. But then I think, well, I would say, but then I think of like the Radiant, but the Radiant is limited by automated ships. And your automated ships like these aren't limited, or they're not. You don't need automated ships in order to pilot them. So I guess I don't know. But then again, the old slot, you can clean the old slot off. So I don't know why you can't clean this off. I don't know. It's just balance things, I guess. All right, let's grab our ships here. I ordered a bunch. Yeah, I ordered a bunch, so they should be at the bottom. I think the scarabs outperformed. Right into the mic. I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's one of my dogs. I think the scarabs outperform the brawlers, so we'll bring those. Plus they look cooler. I don't think it makes much of a difference. Which ones you bring out of those two, just as long as they can hold the points. Let's put back volatiles for some more supplies. And one last time, let's head out into the abyss. So yeah, it's been a fantastic fantastic journey. I'm really excited with Starsector and just seeing how it's changed so much from when I started playing it. The addition of Shrouded and Threat, man, I think Alex absolutely nailed it. Shrouded could be a little bit more intimidating. Atmospherically, they are some of the best enemies I've seen like in any game. Their aura is maddening. Um, but as far as like the fight goes, it can be managed pretty well if you can control the eyes, which is okay. Rude. Which is what ends up destroying you in those fights. I don't think this is. I don't think this is a drop. Nope. Nope. Interesting. Yeah, if you can manage the eyes, you can manage the fight. But with Threat though, Threat is it's a whole different beast. I think these are literally the same stars I just looked at. One was. One thing I am interested in is what happens if you run out of fuel in the abyss? The reason why I'm running the oh, never mind. I would say the reason I was running the neutrino detector was because it increases your sensor range. But it doesn't. It just increases your sensor profile. So no need to run that. I wonder why I thought that. I think it's just you guys not interested in the fight. Oh, there's somebody else here. That's first strike. That's also first strike. Whatever. Sure. Actually, I guess we can just show off this version of the fleet. And I can deploy myself. Yeah, I can deploy the Aurora and take it over. Let's transfer command over to you guys. So that way you can see what it looks like when you use a bunch of locusts to counter the threat. This would simulate kind of like the end of the fight. So those black splashes that you saw on the shield, that's from the Void Blaster. Back up here for a second. I love the Aurora so much. Man, it's such a good ship. Champion destroyed. Yikes. Oh, because there's an assault and an overseer over there. Yep, let's go deal with that. The Aurora is such a good ship. If you haven't tried, I mean, I've talked about it so many times on this channel, but if you haven't tried the Aurora, I couldn't recommend it enough. It's fast and it just deals a ton of damage. The only modification I would make to this specific build is I think I would put in a third antimatter blaster, because I end up with a lot of flux that I can keep playing with that I end up missing out on. And the damage would be a lot better to have. And how many ships can do that? Where you can ram a ship with plasma, burn and push it into the into your allies. I think we lost a champion. Yeah. Alright. Wasting my time. There's quite a lot of fleets out here. We did triple fab. We're looking for a double fabricator. Is that a first strike? A second? Oh, that's... Ooh, okay. That's dangerous. I don't think there's any double fabricator fights to be had in here, so I'm just gonna leave. Unless we find something down to the south. Nope, I'm just gonna leave. Yep. And I think this is the system we just jumped. Nope. Okay. Okay. I do wish it was a little easier to find. There's a huge, I do wish it was easier to find these little blips. And then also sometimes they can be empty, which I don't think that should ever be the case. There should be thread in every one of these. Alright, let's see. Nope. You're pure light though. I can use you. I think we've been to this one before. I guess not. Similar looking one though. Alright, let's continue on. You have to keep an eye on our supplies and fuel. Okay, this area is hot. So let's see. I think your first strike. You might be third. Or, sorry, your third strike, and the one behind you might be. Yeah. We want to fight that one. But I don't think there's a way to separate them. So it's going to end up being another 3. How do I... Can I separate these two? I could lead them away and then jump back into the planet. Let's see. Let's get away from them and go dark. Fly up to the side here. It almost worked. I just need a little bit more distance. And then if I peel off to the side here, I should be able to peel just one. Yes. There we go. Alright, and this will be the finale. So this is going against a third strike. A third strike double fabricator fight. This, I believe, is the hardest type of fight that you can have with the threat. Because the fabricators are on full display. They are able to produce a ton of ships. You're really fighting to capture those early objectives, right? Because they have their own skirmishers, their own assaults, their own overseers. So it buys the fabricators a bunch of time in order to set themselves up. But I think the plan still remains the same. Push through. Well, secure the objectives, push through, get to the fabricators, blow them up, and then clean everything else up with the Pegasus and the champions at the very end. Let's go ahead and move into engage. We will pilot the Ziggurat one final time. And let us begin. I think it is an absolute mistake if you decide to... Can we get another ship in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Versus 4. What's 3, 4, 5, 6? Yep. We get another. We get another scarab out that way. Sure. Oh, this is a really nice layout too. I think it's an absolute mistake if you if you just deploy all of your capitals and just try to bum rush the Fabricator, which is what I was trying to do the first time I did these fights, and I just kept getting destroyed. Um, Objective management is so important. And to circle back around for a third time, the other reason why I want to remake the battle guides is because at the time, I didn't understand how important it was to secure objectives. Like, I didn't realize, I knew it was important because you want to get your ships onto the battlefield. But beyond that, I didn't realize you want to continue to contest them because it really damages your opponent and keeps their ships off the battlefield. Excuse me. So now that I realize that, it completely reshapes how I approach fights, which is important because that how you approach fights goes into your fleet composition. It dictates your doctrine, right? There's all these other follow-on effects. Which I want to address with the new knowledge that I have. How many skips do you have, guy? Oh. Let's not use neutron torpedoes again. You. Bring in roller. The line unit just has so much hull that you have to cut through. It feels like you're going up against an Invictus every time you fight a line unit. Let's continue to assault this objective. Okay. I mean, I don't see why you guys can't deal with this. I need to. All right, here's the issue, right? These ships should be gone. Like, there's no reason that these ships should be here. I want to help because I can clean this up very quickly. But if I don't hold the line here, then basically they're gonna get fractured on this front part. So maybe if these skirmishers are in range, which it looks like they are, I'm gonna turn and try to help you guys out. Now's not the time. now let's make a rally order, and let's put you guys on it. We can change that just to control, and you guys can deal with it as such. Pretty sure that was a manufactured ship. What are you doing? You're facing the wrong way, brother. Alright, I'm going to seed the front here just so I can swing back around and clear out the rest of this garbage that's tying up my onslaughts. Which will promote my onslaughts to push forward. And you just need to go as well, because I don't want you capping stuff on the back here. I don't want to get so far out of position though. I can destroy this ship really quickly and then get back to the fight. Cool, and the Scarab can help me as well. You should be able to back cap that, that's fine. And then we can push towards the front here. And it's not what we want to be doing, but it supports the overall plan, right? Which is controlling the objectives. Now, does it make sense to send the Ziggurat to do that? Definitely not. But sometimes you have to do what needs to be done in order to do what you need to do. Something like that. I don't know, I'm not a poet. Good job. Alright, so now that we've cleared a path, or at least we've cleaned up everything back here, we should be able to push our ships forward and get to those fabricators in the back. A little bit of a circuitous route, but a lot more control, let's say. And everyone's still on that rally command, yes. Let you guys handle that. And here are the fabricators. So I want you to eliminate this. And then I want you guys to still drive towards this rally command. I don't want to give you the eliminate command on this fabricator because you'll just mess it up. You'll try to burn straight in and then all of this will get you destroyed. So let's try to avoid that as best we can. Looks like we got a nice avenue to approach these fabricators. actually going to wait. Sorry, I had to focus. You really don't want a fabricator to slip away from you if you can't help it. That shouldn't bother you. Just the two of us. Alright. And it is not full assault time. However, we can issue some orders. So it doesn't matter to control these anymore. Let's start issuing some engage commands. I think we can cancel this. I think what do we target? I think the lines make the most sense to put engage commands on, because incidentally, our onslaughts, just by virtue of their weapons, will be able to target other things on the side, so they'll do damage. Whereas if you focus on something like, let's say, the assault, they'll kill the assault, but then their weaker weapons will be pointed to the sides, so they won't be able to deal like the maximum amount of damage that they possibly could. I don't know why I chose this event. This has been a horrible decision. Now let's go kill this assault. I want you to come down here and focus on that. I can kill these hives. I don't know. While I have you up here, you might as well help me with this. Okay. Back up, back up, back up. Let's sweep around the back here. Just kill this really quickly. Thank you. These overseers. And then at this point, we could just full assault. Just some hives in the back, and Overseer hiding out behind its Fabricator. And yeah, that's that. A phenomenal fight, a phenomenal experience, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate the growth of Dale Nolan with a Reaper shot that misses. No, a wonderful battle, and I hope I demonstrated an effective strategy to dealing with the threat. We're gonna go ahead and consider ship recovery. Bring back the ones that we can, leave the rest. Collect the things that we can, and we will get out of here. And then as we head home, I'll briefly talk about what's going to come up in the next episode. So, the final episode is going to be a victory lap, which is it'll cover everything that we have done. So, I'll need to rewatch some of my episodes and pluck out highlights. I don't know if it'll be edited. It probably won't be. But definitely just hitting all the story beats, all the major things that we've done. So starting with our Apogee start, going to fighting the Ziggurats, doing the hyper jump fights, like all the fun stuff. I'll call it out in whatever episode it's in. So if you want to go back through the series and just watch, what I consider like the most exciting bits, you'll be able to do so. But yeah, just my thoughts overall. Man, excellent. Starsector is the most fun it's ever been, and every patch it just gets better and better. Always interested to see like what changes are made, what buffs, what nerfs are made to ships. Always interested to try new builds, right? Like there's so much diversity that gets opened up when you're not just limited to using the same ship over and over again, which I tend to do. I'm trying to with my let's take this out. I'm trying to get into using more ships and using different kind of weapons, because very often I'll end up just creating like the same builds over and over again. Because it's what I know and because it's so efficient. So with the new opportunity for new ships, right? Or nerfs and buffs, it creates like new metas, right? Like the Anubis, hate it or love it, it completely reshaped fleet design, right? Like what is possible in Starsector. If you watched Brawl King, you'll know, just how effective the Anubis can be. Any more thoughts on Dale's story? I think at the very least, I hope it was entertaining. It was from I had peeked at a few of the beginning episodes as I gathered my notes, and the best way I can describe the beginning of this series was frantic, rushed even. I was so excited to get out into the abyss that I didn't even contemplate whether or not my fleet would be ready to tackle some of the challenges out there. So a lot of episodes, like I end up flirting with going out into the abyss only to get turned around because I was missing this or I was missing that, or I didn't have these kinds of weapons. So that's that just seemed to be a recurring theme. But eventually we found our footing, and then especially after the break, I think we made some really great strides on the fleet. Like cleaned it up. We had purpose. We had um, we had like a vision of how we uh, achieve the rest of our goals. So there's that. I think that's everything that I want to cover in this episode. The victory lap will probably come out. Today is Friday, so it'll probably come out. I'll try to have it out by Sunday, but if it's not out by Sunday, it'll be released next week. Um, so you guys can enjoy that. But as far as the series goes, this is the final series. There won't be any more like combat or anything like that. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for the support, and thank you for all the returning um, subscribers. It's been a while. It's been rough. But I am happy to see everyone, and the channel's been growing since I've started posting videos again. I think before the hiatus, I was at 4,000 subscribers, and now we're at, I think, 4,250 or 4,300 even. So thank you so much for all the new people. I appreciate the support. I appreciate every single like I get and every single follower I have. So thank you. I think that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Other than that, Grumpy out.